Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. This is sponsored by the Diabetes Solution Kit with Barton Publishing. I'm your host, Joe Barton. Along with me on this beautiful day is Dr. Scott Saunders, all the way from Santa Barbara, California. Hello, Dr. Saunders.
Hey, life is good in Santa Barbara.
All right, good in the hood. And running the controls in the background, Leslie Prince, star of the show. Woo! All right.
Hello.
All right, we're going to give her another minute as she gets Facebook hooked up and everything else and get some more people to hop on here. Looks like we've got a lot of people today. So welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Zoom meeting. And hey, thanks for joining us today. So if you're here, find that little chat button on Zoom and say hello. Tell us how you're doing. Tell us where you're calling in from or joining us from. And Dr. Saunders, what's a good question we could ask? Question of the day.
What's a good question? Well, today we're talking about eye health and eyeballs. And so I just did a whole bunch of research on glaucoma, and I was amazed at the research that what's available. It's just amazing.
So maybe join us, or like in the chat, just type in like if you've had any eye issues beyond just needing corrective lenses for reading or something, but any type of blindness or glaucoma or blurry vision or anything like that. What are some other things?
Macular degeneration.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'd love to get a little take the pulse of the people and find out how many people are dealing with that or have dealt with that in the past. So, all right, Leslie.
We're good.
We're good. All right.
We did have some questions even last week, I think, about the optic nerve, what you can do to make sure you're staying healthy. And so I think those are some of the things that Dr. Saunders is going to talk about here. Yeah. For those of you who are new, who maybe aren't familiar with this webinar, we talk about type 2, and then every other week we really focus in on a question or a health issue that relates to type 2 that a lot of our customers are asking about. Or a lot of the people who hop on this webinar, you know, we get a lot of questions about different things that come in throughout the week, and this is something that comes up a lot. And so I'm excited to learn more about this and the importance of eye health and what we need to do. But before we get started, I'm going to have Dr. Saunders do a little disclaimer for us, if you wouldn't mind.
Everyone's favorite part.
Yeah. Okay. So the information that we give is general information. It's education. It's like being in a classroom, and it may not apply to you specifically. So what you need to do is take whatever you're told here, whatever information you get, and ask the question, does that apply to me? And sometimes you may need to do some research, look it up, or go to your doctor or a healthcare provider and say, is this something that I should do that applies to me?
Excellent. All right. Well, Dr. Saunders, let's get rolling. Tell us what you've been studying and finding in your research about eyes and vision.
Okay. Eyeballs are amazing. I mean, if you didn't believe in God before, by the end of the day, you should, because just the fact that that the way eyes work, that we can see greater than 180 degrees around us, that we can focus on things, that we have a little area in our eye that focuses specifically so we can read. And when people lose that, it's called the macula or the fovea centralis. When they lose that, then they try to read from their peripheral vision, and it's hard. And they have to have these computers now that blow up the letters really big so they can see what it says. So just the way it's set up is so amazing. So actually on your retina is reversed. Everything is reversed. You're actually seeing things upside down and backwards. And then it goes to your optic nerves. It goes back to your brain, in the back part of your brain, the occipital lobe. And that puts everything right. And there's a lot of interpretation going on. You're not just seeing, it's not just taking pictures. It's not like a camera at all. There's interpretation going on all the time. And so you actually see things that aren't there, and you actually don't see things that are there. And we were always told that, you know, you can close one eye and you can have a dot on a page, and you just look right beside the dot, and you kind of go closer until the dot disappears. Why does the dot disappear? Well, because your brain is filling in things that that are supposed to be there. And so when you blink your eyes, for example, you don't even notice that nothing changes. You don't see it blink. You don't stop seeing when the eyelid goes over your pupils, because your brain's filling in the gaps, and can fill in things that aren't there, literally aren't there sometimes, or leave out things that are there. So it's really amazing how this vision system works. But what we're concerned mostly about is the function of the retina and the optic nerve, because that's the part that is the metabolism. It has a huge metabolism. And the metabolism of these cells that are taking in the light constantly and sending signals to your brain to say, you know, this high, low, red, green, blue, all of those, these signals are being sent constantly. And it requires so much energy. It's a constant supply of energy. So if you're not getting enough blood flow, guess what happens? Phew, the system shuts down. And worse things, you start getting inflammation if you don't have enough antioxidants there. So why are the eyeballs so sensitive? It's because they're so highly metabolic. They're using so much energy all the time in this little teeny area. They have a lot of energy use. Kind of like if you've ever heard of the Saturn V rocket. It's the first rocket that went to the moon. And it developed a thrust of about 7.5 million pounds with 5 engines. So each engine is making 1.5 million pounds of thrust. And in order to do that, they had to have an explosion going out that nozzle, a huge explosion. And in order to do that, they had to take kerosene and liquid oxygen and put them together in a huge amount. And so they had to put these pumps in there. And these pumps were huge pumps, and they could pump 42,000 gallons per minute. 42,000 gallons per minute. If you ever filled up your gas tank, you know, and you're getting 1 gallon per minute, you know, you fill it up, you're waiting around for your gas tank to fill up. Well, think about if you had 47,000 gallons per minute, how long would it take you to fill up your gas tank? And this is what they're putting in. It's kerosene. It's similar to what you're putting in your gas tank, right? Kerosene and oxygen. And they have to come together in exactly the right amounts in order to make that explosion under the rocket and blast it off and go to the moon. Well, in that sense, that's kind of what's happening in your eyeballs. They're so highly metabolic. They need a flow. They have to have this, you know, 42,000 gallons per minute of flow of blood going for 2 reasons. One, to provide the energy, to provide oxygen, sugar. They have to be provided constantly. And if you've ever had anything like a migraine headache, you get a migraine headache, and before the migraine, you start getting these floaters in your eyes, and you start like losing your vision, or it gets narrow tunnel vision or something like that. Why is that happening? Well, it's because the beginning of a migraine headache, the blood vessels constrict to your brain, and many times that includes the eyeballs. So if the blood vessels, the arteries going to the optic nerve are closed down, you're getting less blood flow. And the less blood flow causes your retinas to stop working. And so you get this tunnel vision or lessening of your vision, or sometimes there's a little scotoma, they're called, in the eyes. So that blood flow is constant, even a second of loss, and you know it, because your eyes aren't working anymore. So what happens when you have diabetes and your blood vessels are constricting and they're not allowing blood flow just a little bit at a time, a little less, a little less, a little less, a little less? Then what's happening is the lack of blood flow, you're not getting enough energy there. Now there's another problem with that, and that is the high blood sugar, the constant high blood sugar causes the receptors, the glucose transport proteins, to diminish. You get fewer glucose transport proteins. So now you have lower blood flow and you have less glucose transport protein, so less sugar getting into the eyeball, to the cells that need that energy. So what happens is everything just shrinks down. The cells, the optic nerve cells, literally dry up and blow away. They just don't have enough energy to blast your rockets off and keep things moving and functioning and going well. So that's half the battle. And that's where glaucoma comes in. Glaucoma is a problem with the lack of energy getting to the cells. Now, sometimes that's associated with inflammation, because if you're not eating enough fruits and vegetables, and you don't have enough of those colors, the colors of the fruits and vegetables, like carrots or orange, right? That orange color, beta carotene, is very important for your eyeballs. The color of tomatoes, when you're eating tomato sauce, that tomato sauce has a lot of lycopene in it. That's really good for your eyeballs. When you're eating blueberries and raspberries, blackberries, and there's another berry that has anthocyanidins in it, and these are the colorings. So if you're eating things that have artificial colors, guess what? They're useless, and they may even make it worse because they can cause inflammation. Whereas the colors of the fruits and vegetables, including the green, by the way, if you're eating kale and spinach and all of that too, peppers, red peppers, green peppers, you're getting these colorings that help your eyes to decrease oxidation. If there's oxidation and your body doesn't have enough blood flow to get rid of that oxidation, you don't have enough of those antioxidants in your eyes, then your eyeball pressure goes up. And so that's where people say, well, the eyeball pressure is related to glaucoma. And it may be partially that, but that's definitely not the whole thing. The pressure in your eyes is only a symptom. And so the doctors focus on that symptom. They just look at that one little symptom and they're just saying, oh, let's relieve the pressure. So they give you drops to put in your eyes to lower the pressure. And it doesn't do anything to help you increase your blood flow. It doesn't do anything to help increase the antioxidant capacity. So when you lower the pressure, and even doing surgery to lower the pressure, but that has nothing, doesn't help at all. The problem, the underlying problem, is the lack of energy, number one, and the oxidation, number two. So those are the two most important things you need to know about your eyes. Why? Because that's where macular degeneration comes from. And so people don't even know they have this stuff until it's too late, until they've already lost significant vision in their eyes. And they're going, I can't read. They go to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, you have glaucoma, or you have macular degeneration. Well, those nerves are gone. They don't grow back. They're done. So in advance, looking in advance and saying, what are you going to do? Well, on the diabetes solution kit, we have phase 1 of the program where you're on a very low carbohydrate diet. But there are certain things on that diet that you could eat as much as you want of them. And some of those include kale and spinach, which are going to be high in the carotenoids, that the colorings that help to decrease inflammation in your eyes. But you can also have blueberries that are really good, and blackberries, berries, strawberries. Berries are generally good flavors, and peppers, for example. So if you're eating vegetables, carrots that have a lot of coloring in them, that are high in these carotenoids, then you're going to have protection. There's something else you can get from fish, the antioxidants in fish. That's not just the fish oil. There's substances in fish that help the eyes they're antioxidants that help the eyes to function better. So there are a lot of things you can have on the phase 1 of the program that don't have like a lot of sugar in them, that are low in carbs, that you can still stay on the program and get this. So one of the reasons we bring this up is because we don't want you to assume that when you're on the phase 1 of the program and very low carb diet that you can't eat fruits and vegetables. I think it's really essential that you eat fruits and vegetables. And so look on the free list, the things that you can eat as much as you want of, like lettuce and kale and spinach and that kind of stuff, celery, and start eating a lot of that when you're on that phase 1 of the program. And that will help protect your eyes from getting glaucoma, macular degeneration, and loss of vision from the diabetes. There are cotton wool spots and breaking blood vessels and all that kind of thing. So, any questions?
So we have some supplements that we have sent some emails out about, CinnaChroma, Turmeric, and Nervala. Could you maybe talk about how those help with vision?
Okay, so CinnaChroma is going to be helpful for the main thing with CinnaChroma is, even though it's not specifically for diabetes, we included selenium because many people are deficient in selenium because it's not found in the soils in the United States and plants don't need it. So we put it in the CinnaChroma because a lot of people with type 2 are missing selenium especially, but glutathione. So that glutathione is a very important antioxidant for the eyes. So that's how the CinnaChroma works really well. Turmeric is a great antioxidant and anti-inflammatory. All by itself, turmeric will decrease eye pressure, decrease glaucoma, and improve vision. And that's the difference of what turmeric can do that something like eating more blueberries doesn't do. Is if you've already lost some of the peripheral vision in glaucoma, it improves your vision. People actually saw improvement. They got better. They actually got their eyesight back. So that's significant. Turmeric is very good for the eyes. And the other one, CinnaChroma, turmeric, what was the other one you mentioned?
Nervala. Yeah.
Oh, Nervala, yeah. So Nervala has two things that, number one, improve the circulation. And remember, part of it is just the lack of circulation. And that's why people get the neuropathy in their feet. Well, the same thing in the eyes, the kidneys, the feet, and the heart. So the Nervala helps all of those to increase the blood flow and allow better circulation. So those three will actually should maybe improve your vision, but at least prevent you from blindness, which is the number one Diabetes type 2 is the #1 cause of blindness in the United States, and it doesn't have to be that way. It's completely preventable.
Did you talk about diabetic retinopathy?
Not specifically, but that's the other thing, that the lack of blood flow and inflammation that's causing. The retinopathy is you're just losing cells over time. You're losing the cells because they're inflamed. They're not getting enough sugar. So remember I said you need those glucose transport proteins to bring the sugar from the blood into where the cells are that they can use. And if you have fewer of those, then you're getting less blood into the cells. And, you know, like that Saturn V rocket needs that 42,000 gallons per minute to take off. That's the amount that you need to pump a lot of that sugar into the cells because they're constantly going.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, you know, our eyes see upside down and backwards. Does anybody have, are there any people walking around that they don't make the flip and they're actually walking around like seeing upside down?
I don't know. I don't know. You know, sometimes because the brain's interpreting what you see, and so if you're seeing upside down and backwards, I wouldn't know, because you would be, to me, walking on the ceiling, but to you it's all normal. So I wouldn't have any way of knowing that.
Right. Interesting. So yeah. All right. Well, Leslie, I think we've seen quite a few questions come in. If you want to go ahead, and if you have any eye specific questions to hit first that we could ask, and then we'll flip over to the more general type 2 diabetes questions, maybe.
I will just mention here that Meg said that if you have access to bilberries, they are superior for the eyes.
That was the one I was trying to remember. Oh. Yeah, blueberries and bilberry. This starts with a B. Yeah, and they make bilberry extracts too, but they're really great with anthocyanidins.
Yeah, she said they used it for pilots during World War II. Yeah, and the more nutritious bell peppers are the yellow and orange ones, and then red, and then the least useful are green.
Yes.
So, and the other ones
very
are
good.
They just taste better. So let's see here. Eye specific questions. We do have a lot of questions. A lot of comments though about people who have vision problems in their family. And so there's a lot of interest in people, you know, wanting to take care of this or be proactive to make sure that they don't have problems later. So did you see anything specific to vision?
Krish, no? Yeah, Krish at 112. He mentioned something about blurriness. I'll just read it. So yeah, great. I'm an OAG patient, but I do not have any macular degeneration issues. However, I have blurriness and my A1C is 6.7. I'm taking lots of zeaxanthin, lutein, and astaxanthin. I also consume lots of blueberries and also include beets in my diet. I also consume 740 milligrams of vitamin A palmitate in a mature multi-tablet. My vision, however, is blurry. How can I overcome this?
Okay, so that's a great question, because blurry is different from a loss of vision. So a loss of vision is where you can't see detail in things, so it's hard to read. But blurriness is where it's out of focus. So if it's actually blurry and out of focus, then fixing the focus somehow, whether that means getting contacts or lenses or whatever, focusing for the blurriness. And that's an important distinction, because some people with diabetic retinopathy will be saying, well, I can't read anymore because everything's blurry, and they go in and they find out it's not a focus thing. It's you've actually lost the rods and the cones aren't close enough together, so things are you're not able to see detail. That's the difference. So whether it's blurry, you can't see detail, or whether you have retinopathy, you can't see detail, And so distinguishing those is the important thing. And that's where the benefit of eye doctors come in. The ophthalmologist can tell you if it's a focus problem or if it's a macular degeneration or diabetic retinopathy problem.
Because when an eye doctor is looking at your eye with a bright light, are they looking for spots, and like what is that signifying?
So people with diabetes get what are called cotton wool spots, and that's where it looks like there's kind of a fluffy something inside there, and usually that's from broken blood vessels that leak, and then over time those have to be reabsorbed and changed out, so to speak. But they actually the proteins in there form these kind of cotton wool spots. And that's typical of diabetes. In glaucoma, they're looking for what's called cupping of the optic nerve. They can actually see the optic nerve, and instead of being coming out, with that looks like a nerve, it looks like it's hollowed out. And the reason for that is because it's shrunk so much that you have this area of the optic nerve that now, instead of having nerves come out, they're dipped in because you've just lost so many nerves, axons going through there.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by CinnaChroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking CinnaChroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar, using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated CinnaChroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With CinnaChroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those two together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using CinnaChroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get CinnaChroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code webinar25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, CinnaChroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar.
Oh, here's a question from Deb. It says, I get the flashes and halos when my blood sugar drops, but don't get a headache until the episode is over. I finally used my hubby's glucose monitor when this happened. Finally, it was at 60. Would low blood sugar also make your eyes do weird things in addition to high blood sugar? Just curious.
Oh, good question. Yes. In fact, the high blood sugar will not do any. You won't notice it because the high blood sugar is going to diminish over time the ability for the retinas to get sugar into the cells. And it's a gradual thing. Whereas when your blood sugar drops low, you're going to notice it right away. Immediately. There's no question about it. And especially if you have type 2, where you have diminished numbers of glucose transport proteins, and now there's less sugar on this side, so you're getting even less on the other side. Yeah, you'll notice it right away. That's important.
All right. Roy said, I saw in high school, I saw an experiment where a scientist used special glasses to invert his vision and put them on every morning and wear them all day long. Soon his brain made the switch and he saw everything right side up. It took him several weeks to revert to regular upsideness. So apparently the normal mind keeps on setting things right.
Yeah, it'll keep setting things right. Yeah, that's what it does.
It's good. Annette says, how do you take care of your eyes with cataract lenses? Surgery when the cataracts have been removed?
Okay. Yeah, and so cataracts is a problem, and that's a different issue entirely. Not specifically related to diabetes, but it is related to antioxidants. So when we're talking about all those zeaxanthins, astaxanthins, anthocyanidins, and lutein, and all that. Those are really important. You need those to prevent cataracts as well. So cataracts is a different issue. It is ultraviolet light coming into your lenses in your eye, and the lenses get opacities. They get opaque, like cloudy. And so you start seeing things cloudy. You see them less and less and less, and pretty soon things are kind of like blurry, and you have a hard time reading, especially seeing far away. So then the ophthalmologist can remove that lens and put in a plastic lens, and then you're like, wow, I can see again. You know, it's a huge difference. Well, so your diet is very important for that. It's really important to prevent. You can prevent cataracts too, and diet, getting enough of those fruits and vegetables, those colors, is really important. Getting enough zinc is important. But there's something else you can do. If you already have some cataracts and they said, well, it's about 20%, we'll do surgery when it gets to like 50 or 60%. Then you're like, wait a minute, what if I don't want it to get to 60? What if I don't want the surgery? What if I want to reverse this instead? Then there is an option. It's called CAN-C. That's CAN-C, the letter C. And you can get those from almost any pharmacy. It's carnosine. This carnosine is a protein, is actually a peptide type protein, like an amino acid that reverses the cataracts. It actually reverses, and it improves intraocular pressure as well. So they're really good, but it's not a magical solution. It's something that gradually over time. So you're putting the drops in your eye every day for years, and they gradually dissolves the opacities in the lenses. So yeah, and it's been shown to work. Many studies.
Here's a question from Meg. How would you know if something is a floater, and what are those? Or if something seems to be a consistent shaped and location blob? Could it be blood clots? They're dark, kind of a medium hue, consistent size for about 5 weeks now.
It's not always easy to tell because the brain fills in spots. So when you have little like broken blood vessels and bleeding on the retina, you may not even notice it at all because your brain's going to fill in, because one eye's can see and the other eye can't see, so your brain fills in the gaps. And so it's not that easy to tell. A floater clearly moves with your eyes. When you see a floater and you move your eyeballs this way, it goes that way. When you move them that way, it goes that way. So moving your eyeballs moves the floaters around, and that's what a floater is. Floaters are interesting. They're actually probably, the ophthalmologists think it's due to kind of folds in the gel in your eyes. So have you ever seen clear gelatin, like you Jello, you got the Jello, and you put a knife through it, and you can see that there's like a fold or something in there. You can see it in there, even though it's clear on both sides. The light kind of bends a little bit differently where that cut is inside. That's kind of like what a floater is in the eyeball. It also could be things like red blood cells if there's some kind of eye injury and there's red blood cells that get in there. But the only way to be sure about the retinal problem is actually to have an ophthalmologist look into your eyeballs, look at your retina, and see.
Interesting. Okay. Roy is asking if the fasting method could cure glaucoma.
Oh, you know what? I don't even know. Gosh, I do so much research on fasting, and I have never seen anything on fasting and glaucoma. In fact, when I was doing research on glaucoma, fasting didn't come up as an option. But no, I don't know. No, because here's the weird thing. The pressure in your eyes is inversely related to your blood pressure. That people with low blood pressure tend to have higher intraocular pressure, and so it's not necessarily not necessarily. I don't know. I don't know that fasting would help. I don't know.
So is there a correlation then between people who have low blood pressure and those who get migraines?
Well, migraines are the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic nervous system. It kind of goes crazy sometimes, and it does a lot of weird things, like migraine headaches. And the other thing it does is you can get abdominal migraines where the blood vessels just constrict to your intestines, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, it hurts, and you get nausea or diarrhea or something, just because you're not getting blood flow to your intestines. Same thing happens in the brain, constriction of blood vessels causing the migraine. It can be just one side, and it usually is just one side, because there's two separate systems. They have a connection in the middle, but there's two separate systems going into the brain. Yeah, I don't know. It's possible, but I don't know.
All right. Let's see. Krish says, will phosphatidylserine, PS, and phosphatidylethylamine, something like that, PE.
Phosphatidylethanolamine.
Okay. Will it help eye health, particularly strengthen the optic nerve?
I think Chris just threw that in to see, wanted to hear you pronounce those.
You know, I'm feeling comfortable enough with myself on these webinars where I'm like, you know, throw it at me. I mean, I've said booty rate. I've said a lot of weird words on the webinar. It's just like no big deal. It doesn't even bother me anymore.
Butyrate. Okay, so phosphatidylserine and phosphatidylethylamine are two. They're kind of like B vitamins, and they have a phosphate on them. Of course, that's why they're called that. And they help with energy production, but they have some interesting things that they do help nerves to function better, and they're a really important part of the membranes of nerves. And so if you're low in those, it may help eyesight, but darn, I just don't know specifically about the eyeballs. I can't tell you specifically about the eyeballs. I know they decrease, phosphatidylserine specifically decreases the stress hormone output, so less cortisol in the body. So it actually lowers the stress response by helping the nerves to be more to be more relaxed. It's kind of like they're relaxing things that help nerves relax. So I wonder, you know what, I'm gonna have to, you guys are just, you have amazing questions. But so PS and PE, I'm gonna write it down, and I'm gonna see about that.
All right. Mary has a question about ocular migraines, and could that be related to diabetes? I have a visual disturbance occasionally where a jagged, multi-layered, curved, sparkly sensation. I get migraines, so I feel like I understand some of these words that people use when they describe their migraines. I actually had one this morning, and so it's really interesting that you brought that up. Okay, so anyway, back to what she was asking. I have a visual disturbance occasionally. It comes into my vision for a few minutes and then it fades away. It doesn't happen often. I call it my northern lights.
You know what? I'm with you. I have that too. It's so funny. It's happened to me like 3 or 4 times, and it seems to always be in an airport. I don't know why. And when it happens, it's like I can't fully read. I'm trying to read around something because it's kind of this weird northern lights. I get that, you know. It's called scotoma, and it is ocular, and ocular migraine is another name for it. But specifically related to diabetes, I don't think so. Really, it's the autonomic nervous system constricting blood vessels. And so what you're seeing is a lack of blood flow. So you're just not getting enough energy to those specific cells. And so if you already have a low energy system from the type 2, then if you get constriction of blood vessels, it could make it worse, increase that. But yeah. So that's that. It's possible it could make it worse, but it's not specifically because of the type 2.
Here we go. I have a question on Facebook from our friend Julie. How does daylight savings time affect the circadian rhythm for sleep patterns? For example, where we live, it can get dark. She lives in Sioux Falls, by the way, I believe. For example, where we live, it can get Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sorry about that. It can get dark at 5 p.m. and at some times of the year, it's not dark until 10 p.m. It can be quite difficult to go to bed and be asleep by 10 when it's still light out.
Yeah, I know. I've looked at the research for that, and you know what? No matter what they do, that 10 o'clock time, the light has something to do with it. But that 10 o'clock time is still important for the circadian rhythm, and having those early hours of sleep, even when you have less time of light. Or more time of light and less darkness, it's still important to have that period of time, that 10 to 2 period of time, to be able to go into anabolic metabolism and rebuild your body and repair. That's the deep sleep time. But it's not 100%, and people are different. And now that we have these Fitbits and Oura rings and all that stuff people are monitoring sleep. I have almost everybody. I have a lot of people come in. They go, "Oh yeah, I got one of those," and so they show me their sleep patterns over years. So I've seen a lot of them, and in going over them, not everybody has the same pattern. Some people get their deep sleep later on in the night, and they have a REM sleep earlier on, and I don't know why that is, and I don't know what that has to do with the circadian rhythm and being anabolic and all that, but it's been correlated in the past. The deep sleep correlates with beginning of the anabolic metabolism, the release of human growth hormone. So bottom line is, it makes a difference. I know it's hard to go to sleep at 10 o'clock, but you still need that time. That period of time is still important, that 10 to 2 time for sleep.
Okay, question from Tom. If I have a meal that has a higher carb count, does it help to exercise to try to burn off the carbs? And if you're going to eat carbs, what time of day is best?
Okay, if you have a okay, this is actually a really good question, because it's the concept of, can I make up for my mistakes? And you know what? If you've ever heard of the concept of repentance, that's how you make up for mistakes. It's the real way, and that is, you just don't do it again, and that's all. It doesn't matter. You can't make up for it. You can't go back and say, I wish I didn't do that. And I do that all the time. Last week, I had a bunch of Taco Bell food. You know what? I was hungry. The guy brought food for me. I was working on some guy's house, and he brought a bunch of food for me, and it was all from Taco Bell. And I'm like, okay, fine. Taco Bell has the highest level of MSG of any fast foods, or I guess any food for that matter. I don't know. And so I generally avoid it. But you know what? I ate it, and I'm okay, and I'm not going to eat it again unless I'm in a similar situation. And when I eat cookie, so a few months ago, I was talking with somebody, and they had some oatmeal raisin cookies, and I'll just have one. I ate one. And then, wow, that's really good. I'll eat another one. I ate another one. And after my third one, I'm going like, oh man, I shouldn't have ate those. But you know what? All you really have is repentance. And what that means is, okay, I blew it. I made a mistake. I'm not gonna do that again and go on. Instead of trying to make up for it. You don't make up for it. You just move on and do it right. As you're gradually learning, that's how you learn, is by making mistakes.
Okay, Deb has questions about cucumbers and tomatoes. Hubby has been eating mini cucumbers and grape tomatoes as snacks. From different internet sites, cucumbers should be limited due to issues with digestion, and tomatoes are contributed to leaky gut, making weight loss very difficult. He's eaten both of these vegetables, citrus options in unlimited quantity, approximately 3 cucumbers and 12 grape tomatoes daily with no digestive issues, but his weight loss has decreased a bit lately. Although he was losing weight before, when he has not changed eating habits of these 2 items. What is the recommendation for both of these items? And is it okay to consume as much as you want, as I don't see them on the free foods list? Thank you, Deb.
Okay, good question. Okay, so I think they should be on the free foods list. The doctor that is talking about that, it's going to mess up your intestines if you eat that because it's got lectins in it. He's actually from here, from Santa Barbara. He's a neighbor of mine. Anyway, so that idea of you should avoid these foods specifically is not necessarily the best way to go. Some people react to them. Some people are sensitive to nightshades and they should not eat tomatoes. And I know one of my patients, we had to put her on an elimination diet, and she found out her rheumatoid arthritis, where her hands are getting all weird and in pain all the time, completely disappeared when she went off tomatoes. And every time she eats a tomato, all her pain comes back. So yeah, she's off tomatoes, for heaven's sake. She's not going to have them anymore. As far as that goes, most other people don't have that problem. So if you don't have the problem, then it's okay to eat cucumbers and tomatoes. And yes, in a way, as much as you want, but I'll just tell you this, that anything you do on an everyday basis, you lose either the ability to absorb it, or you're more likely to get a reaction to it. It's a good idea to have things on an intermittent basis. So like, let's say you have cucumbers on one day and tomatoes on another day, or cucumbers one week and tomatoes another week, or whatever else is on your free foods list. And yes, I think both cucumbers and tomatoes should be on the free food list.
Okay, so I have a question here from William Davenport, and actually we are going to chat with him after this. He's going to talk with us about his results from using the diabetes solution kit or the supplements, etc. And I just want to encourage all of you, if you would like to share your story with us, we would love to hear from you. So please email me. It's Leslie@bartonpublishing.com. I will post that in the chat. I want to hear how you're doing. I'd love to hop on a call with you and hear your story, because lots of you are having success and we want others to have that same success. The best way for them to learn is to hear what you did, what your results were, so that people know this is real, this is possible, and it gives them hope. So love to hear from you. Leslie@bartonpublishing.com. Please, please, please email me. But this is a question from William. It says, I read about a supplement called vitamin 15 dimethylglycine, or DMG for short. Muhammad Ali used it at age 34 and displayed it at a press conference and called it his edge, giving him endurance, stamina, vigor, and age-defying energy. So the claim is that it will boost strength, rev up energy, build muscle, increase stamina, and enhance oxygen utilization. Is this the second wind it claims to be? Your thoughts on this?
That's a great question. Okay. Yeah, DMG has been around for a long time.
You froze.
And, what's that?
Oh.
Nope.
I froze.
You froze.
You froze. Okay. Yeah, DMG has been around for a long time. It's very the body needs it. It's a really important part of your electron transport chain, which means that's how your energy is being produced in the mitochondria, and you need that. And so anybody who doesn't have enough of it is going to find a lot of benefit from taking extra dimethylglycine. However, most people don't have that issue. That's not the bottleneck in their energy production. So it's not going to be the wonder drug that it was supposed to be. That oh yeah, if you take this, and I don't know about Muhammad Ali. I didn't know he was using that, but maybe that was one thing that he was needing in his body, and it came out that's what helped him. So, if you need, niacin for nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, and then you start taking it, it's going to be the wonder drug. It's like, oh my gosh, I got my energy back. I got strength and stamina, and I didn't used to have that. And this, vitamin B3, everybody should take it. Well, not necessarily. That's not the bottleneck in everybody's energy production. That some people do. So that's where that fits in. Is there's a lot of different parts of making energy, and if you're deficient in it and you add it in, then it's going to make a huge difference.
Oh, where is this question here? Okay, Aline says, I take 2 CinnaChroma in the morning and 1 turmeric and 1 Nervala at night. Any recommendation to increase or change these dosages? They're helping me with energy quite a lot. My eye doctor gave me a no change report. My A1C is 6.
Wow, that's really good. Okay, 6 is not diabetic. 6 is pre-diabetic, and so that's really good. And the fact that they're helping you, that's really important too. So I think that you should continue on the same dose. I don't know, and you're working your way, I hope, towards. I mean, 6 is good because it's not really diabetic, but if you're working your way towards 5, that's awesome, because that's more important than taking the supplements.
Myrna is asking about if she can drink Pepsi Zero in lieu of a diet drink. And we actually answer some of these questions on our website. If you go to bartonwebinar.com, we have a list of our top 10 questions. And this is one of them that comes up a lot. It's about sweeteners. And I'll let Dr. Saunders answer that real quickly.
Yeah. So ideally, if you have type 2, you're probably sensitive to the taste of sweet. What that means is that the taste of sweet will cause you to release insulin and make more insulin, which increases your insulin resistance. So at least in phase 1, it's really a good idea to avoid all sweetened beverages. And that includes stevia and all the natural sweeteners and sugar alcohols and all that stuff. It's a really good idea to avoid them, especially in phase 1, but you might just avoid them the rest of your life. Avoid the sweet taste of things.
Today's Fixed Blood Sugar webinar is sponsored by CinnaChroma, our best-selling advanced blood sugar support formula. Now, thousands of people around the world are taking CinnaChroma every day as part of their program to fix their blood sugar using natural ingredients that simply work. Now, Dr. Saunders formulated CinnaChroma to meet key nutritional deficiencies that most people have unknowingly suffered from for far too long. With CinnaChroma, you get a blend of 6 key ingredients. The perfect combination of chromium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2, which it's important to take those 2 together, selenium, vanadium, and our 10-to-1 cinnamon bark extract. Now, if you're not already using CinnaChroma, I highly recommend that you give it a try and see how it helps your energy, your weight, and your blood sugar numbers. You can get CinnaChroma at bartonnutrition.com or on Amazon. If you get it at bartonnutrition.com, you can enter the coupon code
webinar 25 and you'll save 25% off at bartonnutrition.com. But I realize some people like to go to Amazon as well. So anyways, CinnaChroma, highly recommend. Now let's get you back to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar.
All right, we're going to do 3 more questions really quickly because I know you need to go see your patients. And I think Jill wants to talk about something. I'm not sure, but I'm going to guess so.
What made
Okay.
you think that?
I don't know. Okay. Okay, from Meg. This is interesting because I just had a family member diagnosed with this yesterday. I just read about a brilliant professor who died last fall from necrotic pancreatitis. No one, including him, had any idea that he had it. What are the symptoms? What tests might tip us off to this? What treatments are there for pancreatitis?
Okay, necrotic pancreatitis is really, pancreas is a funny organ. You know, it's not something you want to mess with. So it's making all of these enzymes, and the enzymes digest things, right? So if it starts making enzymes and the tube that goes out is blocked, then the enzymes collect in the pancreas and they start digesting the pancreas. And so it becomes necrotic, and which means it loses its blood supply completely, and then it just kind of falls apart, and it's a nasty way to die. And generally, you're going to have some signs beforehand of especially nausea. It's chronic nausea that won't go away, especially when you eat something. Whenever you eat something, you get nausea. Then that's one of the things to look at. There are other reasons. You can have, bile duct problems causing nausea, or gastritis causing nausea, ulcers. There's other reasons, but if you're looking for things, that's one thing to look for, because if they do a CAT scan, a CT scan, they may not see anything in the necrotic pancreas because it just looks like, oh, there's something there. Because remember, you're just looking at anatomy with a CAT scan, CT scan. You're not looking at functionality. And so you don't know if it's functioning or not. So looking in other ways, like the blood test that shows the elevated liver or pancreas enzymes, then you go, okay, now we know. So that's why it's easy to miss, because the pancreas enzymes are not in the normal function, the metabolic function studies, or the lab tests that you normally do aren't going to look at your pancreas. So, even you go in the ER, you got nausea, they do a chemistry panel, you go, yeah, your liver's fine, looks fine, but they didn't look for the pancreas. So they have to specifically look for it. That's why it becomes an issue. It's rare, but it still happens.
Okay. Connie said, I have had cataracts removed in both eyes and can see much better, but one eye started to become blurry again. Doctor said that there is a real fine membrane on that eye, which is common because of the flap they took the old cataract out of, and it's kind of growing back. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that happens. And I don't know that there's anything you could do specifically about that, because it's a surgical thing where the lens is contained in a membrane, just like almost everything is. So they cut the membrane, pull the lens out, and you still have that membrane in there. And they put another lens in there, but then you have this kind of membrane flapping around, because it's not going to be the same, because you've cut it open to get the other lens out. So I don't know that. I can only think of a surgical option to remove it, but I can't imagine an ophthalmologist is going to go into your eye, and unless it's really irritating for some reason, then you might find someone that would surgically remove that flap.
Can we switch over to my thing quick? Because I know Dr. Saunders needs to go, and I wanted to have him on for.
Oh yeah, perfect.
If I could.
Let's do it.
Okay. Share screen. Bada bing. Can everybody see this? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen. It's really small. Is it? Okay, shoot. Well, can you pin me?
Yeah, I can just enlarge it. Okay, good.
Okay, So I posted this on my Facebook page and it kind of blew up. It's pretty crazy, but I bought a house in Arizona, and Dr. Saunders and I were together a couple weeks ago talking about doing health retreats. And this house was on my radar. And long story, we ended up getting it. It's in Cave Creek, Arizona. It's beautiful. It's got an awesome pool. And we're going to create a healing house in Arizona. So health retreats with Dr. Saunders, infrared sauna, breath work, stretching, nature hikes, prayer, journaling, clean eating, diabetes reversal education, and sunshine, a total body immersion and transformation. So I wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek of what's coming.
Do you know why?
Yeah.
Do you know why I think this is important and why it's needed? Because generally when you go to a health retreat, you're getting something very specific, that very narrow, like this is an acupuncture retreat, or this is a breathing retreat, or this is an exercise retreat. And you're getting things that are very specific. Whereas what we would do is completely different. It's like before you show up, we're going to have blood tests done. We're going to know about your specific metabolism. You're going to have a plan for how to what you need to do to get healthy, and then we begin the retreat by implementing individual plans. So it's really different from everybody else's retreat.
Yeah, this is it's pretty cool. So we're planning to do one. We had penciled in some dates at the end of April, but it's hard to get furniture right now, and I have to completely furnish this place. So, but we're working on it, and but we'll have more details soon. I'll know more if we're able to do that. I know we're not going to be able to sleep everyone there, but there's enough places nearby people could stay and all that, and people could just come, for the whole day and spend the time together. But then we get to like practice what we preach and practice what he teaches and do like the 6-10 reset. So everybody's in bed asleep on an empty stomach at 6 o'clock or at 10 o'clock. But then we get up the next morning and have breakfast at 7:30 a.m. or something like that. And eating low carb, cooking together, going to the grocery store together, just hanging around, talking, learning, making new friends. I had this infrared heater on my stomach today during the call. I don't know if you saw that, it's sitting on me. I mean, all sorts of different fun little gadgets that we can be using together, like a Seragem massage table. I'm planning to get a couple of those, some massage chairs. I don't know. It's just going to be, like you said, Dr. Saunders, a holistic immersion experience. So I'm really excited about it. We'd love to get feedback from people.
And the other half of it is when you're getting together with other people who want to be healthy, then there's a great support there. Because, like on the webinar, I'm talking about eyeballs and stuff, and I'm talking about the lutein and that stuff. And somebody else comes in and says, oh yeah, the bell peppers, the red bell peppers are better than the green bell peppers. And, I didn't know that. And so having a group there is actually really useful, really beneficial for everyone.
Yeah. So we'll let you go, Dr. Saunders. I know you have patience to see. We'll hang on here a little bit for others, but thank you. That's awesome. And he's gone. So would love to get your thoughts on this. If this is something that you would be interested in. Again, it's Arizona, just north of Phoenix a little bit. We haven't figured out what to price it at. So like, this is super valuable. I mean, 3 days with Dr. Saunders and a few others. So it's not going to be cheap necessarily, but it's going to be something that, if you've been struggling with breaking through obstacles or whatever, like I'm telling you, 3 days with Dr. Saunders would be like super life transforming. So, but as you can see on my Facebook post, I had 97 comments, 251 likes and loves. Like this is serving a huge need. So that was reassuring for me to see that I made the right decision. And there was actually 19 offers on this house. And originally I didn't get the high bid or whatever. And then like 2 weeks later, I got a call from my realtor, said, "You'll never guess what happened. The house fell through, the buyers, backed out. I guess they wanted to remodel the interior and it was going to cost a lot more than they thought or whatever. I don't know, but like, it was pretty cool because I prayed about it when I was there. I mean, I fell in love with it. Everything about it was just like, it felt right. But my prayer was, well, God, if I don't get this, because there was like, 60 other people looking at this house on this one day, and the market there is insane. But I just prayed for contentment and peace, and I totally had that. And then all of a sudden, like, I pretty much forgot about it. And then out of the blue, my realtor called and said, "Hey, if you want it, it's available." And we were the first ones they called. So we got it. We're closing on the 22nd of this month. So it's all happening really fast. And yeah, pretty cool. So
Very
did
cool.
we get any comments?
Gorgeous, awesome.
Okay. Well, there's some interest there. So, well, anyways, more details to come. And well, yeah, that's a little side project, but yeah, thanks for joining us, everybody. I know we have a call next with William coming up here. So excited to hear his story. And yeah, we'll be, and we like to hear your feedback too, like just with the diabetes solution kit. Like if this has been helping you, or if any of our products like CinnaChroma or Turmeric, tell us in the chat, during these Zoom calls. We love to hear from you guys. And William raised his hand and shared his story with us. And now we've got a Zoom call set up with him. We're going to hear his story and then hopefully post that to YouTube in the next week or so afterwards. So yeah, good stuff. Great call today. Well, I'm sitting here wearing my glasses thinking, yeah, it's a sign of age. Someone said the fact that you wear glasses and the fact that people go bald is a sign of the curse of the earth from Adam and Eve back in the day, the sin. And it's a reminder that we're not living in paradise yet, but there are things we can do, I mean, I could probably get hair if I wanted, but why would I want hair? I have a great head. But it is a sign, but like, I truly believe like, God has given us things on the earth for us to be healthy. And that's kind of like our core beliefs, our mission, and it's connecting people with products of hope and healing. And these are products from the earth, and working with people like Dr. Saunders, who can find, these ingredients and what actually works and the studies have shown. And then seeing the testimonials that come in every week, every day is super fulfilling. So, all right, well, William is waiting for us. We better end this webinar and we'll see everybody next week. Thanks, Leslie.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Hi, everyone.